So I just kind of talked a little bit about my reaction when my son was crying and my emotions were rising up. But I wanted to talk about a little more about ways that these new moms can regulate their system, their nervous system, because it's on high alert for, like we
Mm-hmm.
talked about, for so many reasons, and they're going to get triggered a lot.
Mm-hmm. I try to make things as simple as possible when it comes to regulation of nervous system. And a couple of things that are really foundational to it. The easiest one is breathing, because you can literally
Yes.
do that anywhere. There are so many great breathing techniques. You can use apps for it, but literally, one of my absolute favorite ones is called 478 breathing. And it's just that you inhale for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 7, and you exhale for a count of 8. And you repeat several times. There's no specific number of how many, but there's a couple of benefits to this kind of breathing. It's why it's my favorite. One is it takes some focus.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a decent amount of focus to a breathe and count, and especially after you've held your breath for 7, to release slowly for 8 takes focus and control.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Because our instinct is to exhale real fast after we've held our
Correct.
breath. So it's actually a decent amount of effort. So if your brain's spiraling about something, like I'm worrying about such and my kid's gonna, oh my gosh, whatever, to like take that time to do that, it takes your brain off of whatever you're spiraling onto. It takes it onto this. And the numbers are specific because it actually rebalances your blood gases to such a level that is more soothing to your nervous system.
Oh, the four
So
seven eight or just breath work?
478.
Okay, good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 478 is my favorite one to use with my clients. And I use it for myself sometimes. Like if I'm in the middle of traffic or something,
Yeah, traffic.
um,
Yeah.
or, if something has me triggered, I'm trying to think of something recently. Oh yeah, the other day I was late to something, and I hate being late. And I
Mm-hmm.
was stuck. It was kind of a traffic thing, but it was more we had late, and we kind of started off wrong. And I was like noticing I was just feeling tense,
Yep.
and it wasn't anything terrible. But I'm like, I just did like 2 rounds of 478 breathing while I'm just sitting there holding my steering wheel, and oh, okay, we're good. And it kind of helped to reset my system. So breathing, there are a lot of different breathing techniques. Frankly, I think whatever you feel like works for you is great.
Mm. Yeah.
I like the 478 one because I like really concrete things, and it works for me. So 478 breathing is a great one for your
I was
system.
using the box breathing.
Yep.
Um, but I'm gonna try, I don't know where my pencil is. I gotta write that down, but there it is. I want to remember that because I used to, breathing is my number one go-to. Breathing and
Mm-hmm.
walking. But the
Mm-hmm.
breathing is the thing that, like you say, you can do it anywhere and it really helps. And it does help calm me down. But I like
Mm-hmm.
the idea of the 478 because you have to focus on it more than the box breathing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 4 4 4 4. So I'm gonna have to
Yes.
remember that and try that.
Yeah, I love breathing. And I'm glad that you said that your other one is walking, because my next tip is that anxiety, trauma, all of that is a very physical experience. If you think about how all animals are meant to respond, like think about a deer. They get startled, they're going to do the initial freeze,
Right.
and then they're going to run. And they're going to keep running, and all of that cortisol is going to get processed out of their system. What do we tend to do in our society? Most of us are pretty sedentary, so we get stressed
Mm-hmm.
out and we'll sit there, and all this cortisol is just kind of marinating our body. And so I find it can be something as simple as walking. It could be push-ups against a wall, because that's a very physical resistance thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can be dancing. It can be holding heavy things. Like pick up that kid of yours and give that kid a big hug and
Oh,
feel the pressure of that kid against you, and they'll feel the pressure against them, and you both get to have the regulation in that moment from
oh.
that physical sense. So being able to have a very physical way of processing that out of your body can be really helpful.
Yeah, one of the things that I picked up on a few months ago that I really love is the vibration plate.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done that?
I haven't.
Some people love it and some people don't. I love it. And it was interesting because I started doing it for various reasons, more for the lymphatic part of it,
Mm-hmm.
to get that out of my system. And so I started researching it, and it is something that's really good for releasing your trauma as well. It's the whole
Mm-hmm.
movement, it's the whole but I can't tell you how different I feel when I get off. And you only do it for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
makes
I've
a
heard
huge,
great things about it.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So, like, to me, movement and breathing is something that I can do anywhere. Like, I could be in the middle of my office building and be like, I could walk down the stairs and back up if I need to do something physical.
Mm-hmm.
I can breathe literally anywhere. Sometimes we don't always have access to things like vibrational plates or,
Right. Right.
a therapist, or I love a trauma informed massage therapist can be a really good way to kind of
Ooh.
access how to heal through your body. And they
Mm.
have very specific trauma informed therapists that are kind of trained to deal with stuff. And so there's just a lot of different things. But I would say to me, anxiety, trauma, all of that is a very physical experience.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to remember that we can't fix it by just thinking our way out of it. It
Thank you.
usually needs to also come out of our body.
Exactly. That's the thing, is it needs to be released out of our body. And that's why I say trauma therapy is so important, because there's modalities that can specifically get them out of your body, where talk therapy isn't going to help. Talk therapy is
Mm-hmm.
going to cause more frustration in this
Yes.
scenario, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's some great anybody who like knows like somatic therapy. I'm
Yes.
trained in both EMDR and brain spotting, which are both they're actually quite related, but they both are based on the idea that they're both brain body
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
therapies. And so they incorporate more of the somatic process. They're not just saying, well, what do you think about that? We ask questions like, well, where do you feel that in your body right now?
Mm-hmm.
And let's notice that, like, because a lot of times when we've had trauma, we've become very disconnected with our bodies,
Yes.
and part of the healing needs to come from being reconnected with it. So, but yeah, EMDR and brain spotting, somatic therapies, dance and movement therapies. I have a friend who does equine assisted therapy
Oh, yeah.
and all sorts of different things that are out there that aren't just traditional talk therapy. I do a ton of talk therapy, so I'm not bashing it by any stretch.
No, no, no. There's a place for it.
And
Absolutely.
and I think that it should be coupled with these other options when you are trying to process trauma that's deeply stored in your brain and body.